Imagine this. You step into a lift. Maybe it's busy, city life, right? And you just say, top, that's it. No, please, nothing extra, just top. And the lift man, well, she just loses it, completely flips out and physically throws you out of the lift.
Wow. That's quite a reaction.
It really is. Now, obviously that sounds like assault, doesn't it? And yeah, the lift man was fine for it. But here's the twist, the paradox we're diving into today.
Okay.
The actual rudeness, that simple refusal to say please, well, that's not something the law can actually punish.
And that specific striking incident is exactly our starting point. We're exploring the work of Alfred George Gardiner. He was an English journalist and essayist writing in the early 20th century.
Right, Gardiner, born 1865, I think, sometimes used a pen name.
That's him, Alpha of the Plough.
Yeah.
And he had this amazing knack for finding really deep truths in just everyday stuff. He could talk about morality, civility, all these big ideas, but in a way that was, easy to grasp, even amusing, but always insightful.
So that's our plan today. We're going to unpack Gardiner's thoughts on good manners, on courtesy, politeness. Look at how these little things, they really have this huge power, don't they? They can make things pleasant or just sour the whole atmosphere.
Exactly. We want to uncover why being civil isn't just about following some arbitrary rules.
Yeah.
It's deeper than that. It affects all of us. And yeah, it all kicks off with that lift man. Passenger says, top. Lift man wants top, please. Passenger refuses. Boom. Out he goes.
Yeah. So, okay, the violence, clearly wrong. Lift man gets fined. No argument there.
No question.
Right.
But Gardiner, he immediately points to the real heart of it. Being discourteous, however bad, it's just not a legal offense. The law has pretty clear lines.
Right, like self-defense if someone breaks in or attacks you. That's covered.
Exactly. But bad manners, the law can't step in. It doesn't legislate against just being rude.
And, when you actually think about it, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
It does.
Gardiner puts it so vividly. He says, if we could just, box people's ears for a nasty tone or a scowl or just generally annoying behavior. He says, our fists would never be idle and the gutters of the city would run with blood all day.
It paints quite a picture.
Yeah.
And it's true. The law's there to stop that kind of constant physical chaos erupting from every little slight or irritation.
So it protects us from escalating things. But then Gardiner draws this really crucial line, doesn't he, between what the law handles and, other kinds of hurt.
He does. He talks about legal offenses versus moral ones.
Yeah.
And he says the law, it doesn't really recognize things like laceration of our feelings. You can't sue for moral and intellectual damages just because someone was rude. But here's where it gets really interesting. Gardiner argues that the lift man, the one who reacted violently, he was actually much more acutely hurt by what he regarded as a slur upon his social standing.
A slur on his standing.
Than he would have been if someone had, say, kicked him on the shins.
That's a really powerful idea. A physical kick, yeah, it hurts. But Gardiner says that pain soon passes away. But the pain from a wound to your, quote, self-respect or our vanity may poison a whole day. You can almost feel that lift man just simmering, can't you? Brooding over it. Gardiner even implies he seeks out his wife later just to kind of rebalance himself emotionally.
It shows the depth of that internal wound. It's not trivial. That feeling of being slighted, disrespected, it can linger and fester in a way a physical bruise just doesn't.
And it doesn't just stay with one person, does it? That's the other key idea, contagion.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Gardiner believes there are few things more catching than bad temper and bad manners. It spreads.
He gives that brilliant example, doesn't he, from Sheridan's play, The Rivals.
That's the one. Sir Anthony Absolute is harsh with Captain Absolute.
Who then takes it out on his servant, Fag.
Who then promptly kicks the page boy.
It's like
a chain reaction of bad temper flowing downward.
Yeah, social domino effect. And Gardiner suggests maybe the liftman's passenger wasn't the source of the rudeness either.
Right. Maybe his boss didn't say good morning to him.
And maybe the boss was grumpy because, as Gardiner speculates, he was henpecked at breakfast by his wife, who was maybe upset because the cook was insolent to her.
Who in turn was annoyed because the housemaid answered her back. It's this whole depressing cycle.
It really is. And it leads Gardiner to this incredibly stark conclusion. Bad manners probably do more to poison the stream of the general life than all the crimes in the calendar.
Think about that for a second. More than all the crimes. It's a huge claim.
It really makes you pause. So if it's that damaging, why can't the law do something? Why can't it be the, guardian of our private manners?
Well, Gardiner's answer is pretty straightforward. It's just impossible. He says, no decalogue, meaning no set of rules like the Ten Commandments could ever cover the sheer vastness of potential offenses.
Right.
And no court could possibly administer a law that governs, as he puts it, our social civilities, our speech, the tilt of our eyebrows, and all our moods and manners.
Imagine trying to legislate eyebrow tilts. It'd be chaos, a complete legal nightmare.
Exactly. Unmanageable.
Okay, so the law can't compel us to be polite. It protects us from violence resulting from impoliteness, but not the impoliteness itself. So what does encourage civility?
Gardiner says it's something much older, much more fundamental than law. It's a social practice, much more sacred than any law which enjoins us to be civil. It's like an unwritten code we live by.
The social fabric itself.
Precisely. And things like please and thank you, they're not just empty words. Gardiner calls them the small change with which we pay our ways as social beings.
Small change, I like that.
Yeah, they're the little courtesies by which we keep the machine of life oiled and running sweetly. They shift interactions.
How so?
They move us away from a model of, say, superiors dictating to inferiors and towards something more like friendly cooperation, an easy give and take. And he adds, it's a very vulgar mind that would wish to command where he can have the service for asking and have it with willingness and good feeling instead of resentment. Why demand when you can ask nicely and get a better result?
It seems obvious when you put it like that. And to really drive this home, Gardiner introduces a counterexample to the liftman, doesn't he? His friend, the polite conductor.
Yes. And he's careful to say this isn't about, shaming other conductors. It's a genuine tribute to this one guy who is just exceptional.
And he shares a couple stories. First one is about Gardiner himself getting on the bus and realizing, oh, no money.
Right. The moment of panic we've probably all felt. But instead of getting a hard time, the conductor is just lovely about it.
Yeah, he says, oh, you needn't get off. That's all right. Then, I'll book you through, just like that.
No suspicion, no lecture. And even after Gardiner finds a shilling and pays, he says that simple act of good nature left him with this lasting glow of pleasure. It wasn't a big deal financially, but the feeling it created was significant.
It really highlights the emotional impact, doesn't it? And the second story is just as revealing. Gardiner's foot gets stepped on.
Yeah, trampled on rather heavily by the conductor's big boots. Ouch!
But instead of just ignoring it or mumbling something, the conductor gives this immediate, sincere apology. Sorry, sir.
And he even explains why he has heavy boots, because his feet get stepped on all the time. Then he checks, hope I didn't hurt you, sir.
And here's the kicker. Gardiner was hurt, but the conductor was so pleasant, so genuinely concerned, that Gardiner instinctively just brushed it off, said, oh no, not at all.
It completely diffused the situation, didn't it? The apology, the explanation, the concern, it changed everything.
And Gardiner makes it clear this wasn't just a one-off good day for the conductor. He observed him constantly.
Yes, he talks about the conductor's inexhaustible fund of patience and a gift for making his passengers comfortable. Real specific examples, too.
Like running upstairs on the double-decker in the rain to tell people there was room inside.
Exactly. Treating old people as considerate as a son, looking after kids, solicitous as a father, joking with the young people.
Even helping blind passengers across the road safely. Just part of his everyday way of being.
Quite something.
And this brings us back to that idea of contagion, but in a good way this time.
Yes. The flip side, if bad manners are infectious, Gardiner insists, so also are good manners.
He observes that it is an unusually uncouth person who can be disagreeable with sunny people. It's hard to stay grumpy when someone is genuinely pleasant to you, isn't it?
It really is. He uses this lovely comparison to weather. Remembers the poet Keats saying, nothing clears up my spirits like a fine day.
Yeah.
And Gardiner says a cheerful, civil person has that same effect. The benediction of a fine day into even like a stuffy bus. It's almost an atmospheric shift.
So the conductor's civility, it wasn't just nice, it was effective. It infected his passengers, creating fine weather on his route.
And crucially, it lightened his own task. His good cheer wasn't some frivolous extra. Gardiner calls it not a wasteful luxury, but a sound investment. It made his difficult job easier.
That's such a great way to put it, a sound investment. And this whole tribute, this panegyric, as Gardiner calls it, to an ordinary unnamed bus conductor. It really shows how even a very modest calling may be dignified by good temper and kindly feeling. Dignity isn't about the job title, it's about how you do the job.
Beautifully said. It brings it all together.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the big takeaway Gardiner leaves us with, this oil for society?
Well, I think the core message is that civility, it's not really about laws or rigid rules you have to follow. It's about understanding the deep, infectious power that simple courtesy has.
Right. It makes life kindly and tolerable for each other, as he says. It's the lubricant that keeps the whole social machine running smoothly, preventing friction.
And this leads him to his final, quite brilliant suggestion for how the liftman should have gotten his revenge on that rude passenger.
Not by throwing him out.
Definitely not. But through elaborate politeness. He tells that wonderful story about Lord Chesterfield.
Ah, the one about walking on the street.
That's it. Back then, the side closest to the wall was cleaner, drier, the preferred spot. Chesterfield, apparently, when he met some known scoundrel, would always step off the path into the mud or muck.
Giving the better spot to the scoundrel.
Exactly. Giving him the wall with this elaborate, polite bow.
Huh. That's fantastic. What a move.
It really is. Because, as Gardiner explains, the polite person may lose the material advantage, the dry footing in this case, but he always has the spiritual victory.
The spiritual victory, that's the key phrase. It's a win not just over the rude person, the boor,
but crucially over himself. It's about mastering your own reaction, choosing grace over anger. That, Gardiner suggests, is the real triumph.
So thinking about all this, what does it mean for you, listening right now, in your own life?
Well, if Gardiner's right, if bad manners probably do more to poison the stream of the general life than all the crimes in the calendar, that's a pretty heavy thought, isn't it?
It is. It makes you consider the impact of just everyday interactions, the small stuff.
So maybe the question to ponder is, where can a simple please or a thank you or maybe just a moment of unexpected patience or kindness, where can that create a small spiritual victory for you?
A victory not just in the interaction, but maybe, as Gardiner implies, a victory within yourself, something to definitely think about as you go about your day.